New Mexico CannaCast. Everything New Mexico, everything cannabis.
There it is. Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. Josh McCurdy with CannaCast here. We got a new episode going. Woohoo! Underfunded. Okay. The basics of that. But real quick, like to give a shout out to Medical Marijuana Radio for helping us produce this and going around and all the information and setting up, helping us set up everything. And another shout out to the gentleman that took the pictures. JT Evans, he's a friend of mine from long ago. He was an NMSU cheerleader too, and he's quite a gifted photographer. He's good at what he does. So anyways, that's about all I got. On to you, Chad.
What's up, everybody? Chad here. I'm also your other host, and shout out to Moose Photography from our JT. This is an amazing photo here of the Las Cruces Oregon mountains behind me. This is one of the rare times it snowed. That's all really I have. Today we're going to be talking about underfunded, and what that means is you're just coming into the industry. You're trying to open a production facility, a manufacturing, anything. If you come in underfunded, you're going to run into a lot of issues, just like you are if you come in uneducated, because they kind of tie in together. So what are some issues you foreseeing people having, Josh, when they come in underfunded?
Underfunded, you run into cash flow issues. That's one of the top reasons the cannabis businesses do close their doors. So you got to look at all that fun stuff. Underfunded doesn't help efficiency when you're looking at production, manufacturing. It costs money to have certain things to bring labor down. Labor is one of the top things. So
and I guess I'll stop there. We don't want to go too far. My bad of jumping right into it.
I'm kidding.
But let's talk about some other industries before we kind of jump into the cannabis industry, because there's a lot of comparisons that we can use from these other industries that can kind of be used in the cannabis sense. So we've heard some other comparisons just in the past couple of weeks that people have used for the cannabis industry, and they don't really mix up or really stick, because I guess we'll start off the food truck comparison. Is to start a food truck, you're spending about $28,000 to $114,000 just to get set up. Yes, your return can be, $300,000 more, or if you do it correctly, but you actually have the same rules, if not more, than a restaurant, than a regular running restaurant. You have to follow the same rules and guidelines, and you will have inspections.
And where are you going to get your green beans when they don't got anybody producing it?
Yeah, exactly. Or, what if the lettuce has E. coli, because that happens every now and then, if you have no lettuce, so, what are you doing? So I really don't feel like comparisons like that work, but it just proves, however, that there is a startup cost that's more than what people probably think it is when you do something like that, like a food truck or, a restaurant or any business, any kind of micro business or business at all. There's going to be cost up front. That's just how business works.
Oh, I was just thinking just now about that, because in my 20s, I was fortunate enough to help manage an ice cream business, a frozen custard business. The main machine alone was like anywhere between $35,000 to $50,000 just for the machine, just for the machine to make the stuff.
Yeah, that's insane. See, just making ice cream, you have these crazy costs. So, if you go into the cannabis side, you're going to have more costs. There's all kinds of stuff that you have to do. Now you're making a highly, regulated substance, I guess I would say, or whatever, what they're probably going to call it.
Substance, huh? Well, yeah, we know what you did, 5-0.
Mm-hmm. They call it the substance.
Yeah.
But even if you want to run like a restaurant, like a mom and pop restaurant, you guys have no really investors, or you're not like a franchise. You're going to be looking at $250,000 just starting out, just to get going. So
don't get us wrong, you can probably get it done cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But you want to be able to run up successfully, right? Yeah. The percentages of you failing are pretty high, and and so you just want to be realistic about it. I know everybody in the world wants to have the great idea and want everybody to like it, and want it to work. And I wish that worked for everybody, but the reality is it does not. So think about it realistically. Make sure you crack your numbers. That's the only thing I can tell you. we've been cranking out numbers for the last week, and it's pretty crazy when you break things down to the very minute situation. So please do that if you're looking to get into the business and you're not well funded,
Yeah.
or find somebody else that can help you do that, because those numbers
Yeah.
are pretty crazy and you need to know them. Even when stuff goes wrong, you need to know how much that you lost in the
Oh,
situation.
definitely. And even if, you have like a R&D room, like that can be even expensive on its own. We were running numbers for stuff like that this week too. And that stuff adds up quick. You have, the system itself, if you want to buy it off from someone, it's going to cost quite a bit. If you want the grow
Or store
system,
media, the
yeah,
media, you know what I mean?
media.
Different. If you're going true living organic soil, that stuff's expensive.
Oh, definitely. So, I mean, there's always going to be costs, but you just have to figure out how to make money. See, that's the trick of this whole business thing, is you have to figure it out on your own with a lot of this stuff. And a lot of people can't hold your hand. So, I will say that now we'll compare and look at percentage failure rates. So the food truck, it's about 60% failure rate when it comes to that. In restaurant industry, 85% will fail. And that's really high. However, looking across a bunch of other industries, it's about the same, 60 to about 85%, sometimes even 90, seems to be the medium when it comes to failure rates, and especially when it comes to the cannabis industry.
It's not going to be easier. A lot of people think the cannabis industry will be easier, and it is. Yes, and it is a high profit crop. Don't get me wrong. I think it was the fifth. I just seen a statistic saying that it was the fifth highest, cost crop or whatever in the United States, which is great.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to it. It's a specialty. It's a specialty business. It goes from production. You got to remember, whatever business you're trying to get in, if you're getting in the retail side, you need to be funded. You need to have inventory money. You need to have contracts with farmers, so you have product and what product's coming in. Because as we heard, what I mean, through our experience, through the years with people in the industry, if you're out of flour or concentrates, you lose that customer for quite a bit of time.
Yeah, they go
So
somewhere else.
you want to be real about that, guys. Please be real about it. Being underfunded is not going to be any fun. Your cash flow problems, your labor, you got to pay labor. And labor is a huge expense when you break it down. It is in all industries.
Oh, definitely. And in any business. And then on top of that, you have all the stuff you have to pay as an employer. You have to match almost some of the same taxes that your employees are paying when it comes to taxes. A lot of people don't know that. Like when it comes to unemployment, you're paying half, and then your employee is paying half as well. And it's an insurance. And so you guys are kind of meeting in the middle when it comes to it. So you still have to pay for those things, and you have to keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
And, someone told us that, you want to keep, what was it, 50,000 in the bank, just
That was off that CPA green growth thing. I think
yeah.
that's one of the links that we were going over. You know what I mean? Talking about just giving everybody a good place to just get information. They have great information. And they're CPA, so certified personal accountant type of situation. And this is we're talking about funding.
Oh, definitely. Because and that information is actually very helpful, because if you don't know that or realize it, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail fast, because we're predicting about 80 to 85 to 90% of the businesses in New Mexico when it comes to cannabis are gonna fail. That's just the way it is, and every state's gone through that. Yeah, statistically, that's just, and historically, that's what's happened. And it's not like any other business. I mean, it's just like any other business. Even though it is different in a different industry, it's just like any other business at the end of the day when it comes to costs and operations. If you have a retail establishment, you are trying to pull customers in, and you're trying to get them to buy your product, just like Apple or anybody else.
You're competing.
So, yes, exactly. And you're competing. And don't be at, don't think that you have to be at people's throats either. Competition doesn't have to be hate. It's competition.
Yeah, we're not medieval times. We're not jousting. We're not fighting with swords.
Yeah.
We're competing with swords. Okay. So, and remember, what I mean? You're everybody's New Mexican. So my best thing is don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If you think you're doing it right, do you, yes, do you, and do it with mad love, and just and enjoy what you're doing. And everything will come out in the wash. And if it don't catch them in the wash, it'll catch it in the rinse.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but make sure you're funded. You would rather build a smaller grow and be better funded than build out a larger one and be more expanded. And that's one of the other top things, trying to expand too fast, too quick, because you got to wait, because there's a trajectory of the price in every market shooting up, and then we got a trajectory back down, and then we kind of level up. It's just nature of it. Woo!
Just that how most new industries start. The price is up, and then eventually it stabilizes, goes down and stabilizes once there's more competition and things mature. Yeah. Roller coaster ride, and get ready for the roller coaster ride for prices. If you're a manufacturer or you're a producer, the prices that you're going to get in return are going to change. They're never going to stay the same. And,
contractors.
Contractors will stay the same. Yeah. And that's one thing you guys have to actually be careful about. A lot of your costs are going to come from hiring contractors, electrical contractors, water contractors, like, plumbers. You got guys that are going to come in and probably build your systems or build your greenhouse. These are all contractors, and these guys are not cheap. So like, it's really not the state's fault. Yes, the state requires you to do these things. However, they require all businesses to do majority of these things, inspections, making sure that it's up to code, making sure, all kinds of stuff. That is just common practice when it comes to any industry. And it's never, ever, 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 please, take this with the, whatever. It's never going to be how it is on an unregulated market. Never. It's never going to be the same costs. On an unregulated market, you can do things that you don't have to do on the regulated market. It's exponentially easier to do things on an unregulated market versus a regulated.
Yeah. Less competition, all that fun stuff. Allegedly, I wouldn't know. Anyways, so you got to be real about it. So, let's talk about what the difficulties of being underfunded, what retail, or where do we want to start?
So we've already been talking about retail. So I guess we'll just continue. And, retail and manufacturing kind of mesh together when you kind of talk about it, because you're doing essentially not the same thing, but you're bringing a product to somebody at the end. An end user is getting your product. Unlike like a consumption lounge, you don't have really an end user that you're creating. You're just providing a space for people to use cannabis.
Well, unless they sell it. Well, in which consumption lounge licenses are not out, so we're not discussing them yet. We'll probably have a whole show on that.
Yeah, we'll have a whole show on that, guys. We'll probably have to read up more on consumption lounges because there's going to be more stuff coming out about it.
And talking to people that are
and talking to more people, especially people who are going to be applying, because there's going to be an application process and we don't know what it looks like. I've seen the producer application process, but I haven't seen any other.
Seen a couple. So good things, all good things. But yeah, so the retail side, you got to make sure you have a source, right? You want to make sure you have your source of product that you're going to have, and that's going to be your from your flower, your edibles, your concentrates, your salves, everything. You got to have your sources there because you want to be able to compete. The other stores are going to have it too, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, most
pre-rolls.
Yeah, pre-rolls. I mean, that's huge. A lot of people love the pre-rolls. I mean, they're easy. I'm not a big fan. Yeah. They just pop them out.
Pre-rolls will get better. We know.
Yeah. And they can be better. And, a lot of your costs are going to be from buying stuff from people, buying, product. Yeah, buying inventory and product. That's going to be majority of your costs because that's what you do. You sell inventory and products.
Unless you're doing your own, which is vertically integrated, and that's a whole new thing when you're trying to do everything on your own. That will definitely, it can get overwhelming very quick.
Yeah, definitely. And especially if you're trying to keep up with demand on your own, you're not relying on an outside source to bring anything in for the store. So that becomes a little stressful. And we've seen that happen here in the state, for many years. So, people just can't keep up. And some of them close, like, hey, we're closing early today. Sorry, because they ran out of product. And that's an issue that we're going to run into right now.
You're talking about April 1st.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that one on its own too.
Yeah, after adult sales, after a couple hours, we might be out.
Yes. So you know what I mean? Retail and manufacturing, guys, realistically, y'all need a good source if you're not producing your own, and you're still probably going to need other sources outside producing your own. Yeah. Strain variety, product variety, more cannabis community going to be working with each other, from the micro businesses working with larger to smaller, everybody, I would tell anybody in the business not to limit your ways to make income right now and even further on down the road, you definitely want to do what's great for you and your family. And you know what I mean? Everything you're going from there, guys. So just be realistic about it. This is a straight business. It is not, you know what I mean, what everybody thinks about. We're going to grow cannabis in our backyard. And so you want to be funded. And it just takes money. What was the microbrew? That was $500,000, correct?
Yep, $500,000 to get a microbrew, and that's not even a state of the art, like equipment. That's just getting a microbrew up. And I know a little bit of that too because my brother runs a hard cidery in Colorado, and that cost him a lot. And they actually had to get investors because I think it cost him about $350,000. It wasn't as expensive because you're not brewing anything. You're just it's like making wine.
Cool stuff.
Yeah,
More cool stuff.
There's no heat involved.
So,
But even that costs a lot. So just keep that in mind, guys. Yes, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, it sucks a lot, but it's never going to be as cheap as it is on an unregulated market. And that's one thing we have to keep reminding ourselves.
well, and you're probably not a commercial scale.
Yeah.
We're talking about we're talking almost different sizes of agro production scale even. So that's different. It's just everything's different. The compounding, the cost of it. People back in the day probably, used to grow a few pounds and, allegedly and whatever. And, they did what they did. I don't know. But when you get into a business type of sense, you have to have that attitude and to be well-funded, guys, you need to have you have business plan and your numbers. You need to check them twice, 3 times, 4 times, check them again. I check numbers over and over and over again. I'll go through numbers. Bingo.
My numbers.
Yeah. I check everybody's numbers. I'm not kidding. I want to know what they are and I want to know exactly what they are. And even when you're going to investors, you want these numbers to be 100% correct. You don't want to just miss it, just by point this or whatever and be off. That ain't going to look good.
No.
And you need to be able to break it down. So that's how where if you're underfunded or overfunded or where you're funded at exactly. And then you need to add, a good 30% to it, just for issues, problems, gremlins, unforeseen things. Like you can think about the 100,000 things that can go wrong, right? And it'll be the 1 million thing that gets you.
Yeah.
So you realize it'll be probably things you don't realize. And it's just part of the experience of any of that in the business.
And that's life too. Just last week when we were setting up this stream, we couldn't go live on YouTube because we had to verify something that we didn't even know we had to verify. So
no experience.
Yeah. See, and you know what? Yeah, lack of experience will kill you 100% of the time. Don't think that you've grown a couple of harvests at home that you can do this on a large scale. It's going to be a lot harder.
Don't get me wrong. You might be a badass and get it done too. I don't know. But yeah, I want you to be realistic about compounding and stuff like that. And so, let's talk about underfunded. We talked about retail and manufacturing, which is pretty much the basic things. If you're not producing your own, you need to find product. And then even if you are producing your own, you probably still need to find extra other product and contracts, letters of intent, I forget whatever that other one was. And the only reason I know about these and learned about these guys is because I've had some sent to me and asked, through different businesses and stuff to look into it. So, and what's going to be on the wholesale side, I don't know. I will have more information on that when the wholesale starts really going and there's other retailers showing up, since the licenses are open. But let's talk about underfunded in production. That's where you're going to make or break yourself in the entire business, everybody. And a quality product will always sell.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
usually a quality product's going to cost more to produce.
That's just how it is. That's the
right.
That's the belly of the beast.
Right.
You can go get a crate all day, but it's always going to be cheaper. There's always going to be a cheaper way that they did it.
You can cruise the Toyota Corolla, but it ain't no Ferrari or Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't made the same.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, they both get you where you're going, right? I get that too. But now if you now when you're in a race, let's say you're Daytona there, you probably need the right machine to do the job.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to think out, and that costs money. So in the production world, make sure you break that down. Your water cost, how much, what your RO water is going to go if you're going to use RO water. If you're using greenhouse, what's your cost? How many light? If you have mixed lighting, not mixed lighting, what's your growth going to be? There's so much there.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you have enough money to finish this. You got to understand too, starting off, you're going to be about 3 months out before you're just going to eat bills. That's all you're going to do for 3 months. You're just going to,
It's just going to pile up until you get that first harvest out.
yeah. So whatever, you know what I mean, funds you have, you got to understand for 3 months before you even get anything, and say, God forbid something happens. You don't get that 3 months. Now you're up 6 months, correct? You know? So you know what I mean? And it depends on your growth style and everything else. Don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you basic numbers of you know what I mean? 3 month harvest. That's what most people I've seen are looking to do. And going from there. And so think about it, guys, and think about, make sure you have enough funding, even maybe some backup funding, because it is a business. And I'm not saying you're ever going to need it. You know, to me, it's like having I'll be honest, like having a gun. If you have it and never need it, great, fantastic, it's ultimate. If you need it and don't have it, it's a shitty situation.
There's that saying, it's better to have and not need, and versus need and not have.
Right. Or what was the one about being a gardener? You know what I mean? That's another one.
Well, I never heard that one.
The one about you'd rather be a warrior and a gardener in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. Kind of like, you know, the 300 thing. We're all soldiers here, not you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so you're going to be a specialist. So, you know, and you'll have different things out there, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to grow different, do things, but just break it down, get your cost, and understand what it's going to take, you know what I mean? And make sure you're funded. You know, there's funding out there, correct? Isn't there some, like for micro licenses? I believe they said there was some loans or something.
Yeah, there's loans, there's grants, there's other government programs that, you know, you could find. You know, we'll try to link you guys the website to the CCD. They have all the information there, and you guys can look it up and see what you qualify for. The state is kind of trying. This is the very beginning. They're still getting set up and working on stuff. So there's going to be new stuff that is introduced, and who knows, the legislature might even introduce something new altogether for it. Who knows?
Ain't no telling. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath, but you never know.
But in the meantime, I would suggest everybody to sharpen your pencils and work on your business plan, because no matter if you're trying to get funding from private people, private investors, you know what I mean, or if you're trying to go to the banks or any of that fun stuff, or whatever's out there, whatever funds that the state's going to make available, they are probably wanting to see a very sharpened, very tight, very good looking business plan, and showing how the ROI, return on investment, or, you know what I mean, how you're going to pay it back.
Yeah.
Because ROI, private money, they want to know when they're going to get their money back, and they ain't bullshitting.
That's going to be one of their first questions. You know, that is one of the first questions they will ask you. You know, like, what's the ROI? Because if you don't have it, then they're gonna be like, oh, because guys, you have to remember, this is a business. Don't treat this just like your backyard. You know, you got to step it up a notch, step it up a level, you know, or a few.
I'll say it right now. You got to get out of the hippie damn mindset, and you're going to have to get it together as far as a business mindset. And don't get me wrong, if your culture is hippie, what not? But when you're dealing with a business and you're dealing with a cannabis business, I was talking to somebody last night about it, and you know, it is cutthroat, you know, vicious. Yeah. This person has been in it for 7-8 years, and, you know, and through, you know, just talking about it. So be understanding, like, your culture can be hippie. God bless it. Get it. If that's your thing, do it. But understand your business is going to have to be business culture. And you know what I mean? That's just numbers, guys. That's all it is. So make sure you're funded. So make sure you have a good business plan, and you just want to have enough money in case things go wrong.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Keep it simple, I guess, to me.
Yeah. And keep in mind, the grow part, or the production part, is going to be one of the most expensive ones that you have to have, you know, in capital coming in. You know, like, some people are even saying $2 to $1 million at least. You could probably get it done cheaper. Yes, we know that. However, to get it done right, and the way that you're going to do it, to, you know, keep on having a, you know, harvest all the time, you're going to need a lot of money. You know, this stuff doesn't come cheap, and, you know, the return's great, but you got to do it right.
Well, and if it works, the return's great. If it doesn't work, there's no return, and nothing's great.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even BioTrack is $10,000 a year, you know, just BioTrack, you know, then, like, that's,
well, I believe, $5,000 for the equipment, and then 5,000. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you don't have to buy new equipment every year,
No.
but you know what I mean? So what happens if we change it? Now you have another company or whatnot, but you just got to be aware of all that. So you want to, like I said, you just want to be well funded. You want to have enough money in the bank, or under your mattress, or your, you know what I mean, your freezer, wherever you put it. And just, for when things go the other way. And I wished I could tell everybody, just from personal experience and growing life, everything else, that everything goes like you wish it would. Yeah. But it don't. In reality, it's usually the other way. It's going to be harder. It's going to be more challenging. And you got to just love the process, people. Enjoy it and understand what you're getting into. And and if you're thinking about being in production right now and you've never done it before, I would get you a grow tent. I would invest in a grow tent, like an R&D, like we were just talking about some things. Get however you want to grow, and go from there. Just start growing. Just start growing. You're gonna fail. You're gonna break things. I'd rather you kill stuff right now in a grow tent or in a growing situation than trying to do it on a larger scale. Lot of money.
Yeah. My first 3 times growing, I fucked up. Excuse me, I messed up.
Yeah, Disneyland.
Disneyland. I messed up. About 3 times before I got a real good harvest. And I still.
And he messed up one time. I told him what not to do, and he still did it.
Yeah, I did.
And guess what? He killed everything.
Oh, it died. I was like,
what, man? Yeah. And this is the thing too. In his defense, the person that was telling him to do this was part of a nutrient company. He was testing nutrients. Okay. And so he's being a tester for nutrients. And a lot of people that don't grow certain ways or don't really understand the plant or haven't had a lot of experience even growing. And this guy owns a nutrient company. We're not going to call him out. It ain't no big deal. I mean, that's why he asked people to test, to learn this stuff, right? Because where he lives, he cannot test. So yeah, I mean, and different growing methods do different things and different uptakes and stuff for nutrients. So that's what I'm saying. Everything is crazy. You won't ever be able to grow. You know what I mean? You're truly living organic, so won't be like your hydro. Just in numbers and testing. It's just because it's the way the mechanics of all this work, and the way the mechanics of plants work. I mean, some stuff's at a higher rate than others. So, yes. So R&D, do some R&D, everybody. Sharpen your pencils right here. Look, I got to
make sure you have the funds. Don't bet the house. Don't bet the car. Don't bet.
Don't go and hawk if you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have experience and you believe in your skills, you really believe in your skills, and you can believe you can get it done, I'll tell you, do what you think's right. But I'm not a business advisor or anything like that. I'm just somebody in the New Mexico cannabis world, and fun times from there. A consultant. I consult businesses. I'm part of businesses, and just keep hacking at it.
Yeah, that's all we can really say. Well, I mean, that's all I have for the grows. I don't know about you. We can kind of finish it off by a price update for the national.
Tell me the prices. Tell me the prices.
Yeah. So looks like prices, I think they increased, right? Looks like so indoor is sitting at $1,710.
So I think we went up $5.
Couple bucks. So that's a good
direction.
Good thing. Greenhouse, you're looking at $940 per pound. And outdoor is $533.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What did outdoor go down?
I think it went down a little. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darn.
So that's your guys' prices update and everything, so keep that in mind. We're going to try to update you guys weekly with these. And you're going to see them go up and down, just like a stock market. That's the prices. That's just how they are. But expect them to go like this as soon as April 1st comes. They're going to, here in New Mexico specifically, they're going to climb a lot. And every state that goes online is going to have, inclined prices.
Speaking of underfunded, I just wanted to throw this out. This has caught my attention since you were talking about all that, about prices.
Yeah.
As a patient, you're going to be underfunded, right? Because you're only allowed so many ounces now in the 90-day period.
Units.
And then you can still buy cannabis, but you're gonna have to pay taxes on it as a rec person. So weird. Do I think it's right? everybody knows it don't. So yeah, I think a medical patient should be able to have as much as a rec patient can, and that let's talk about some social equity. Social
Yeah. Ooh,
equity.
there's social equity there. And if
Woo.
you guys want that to change, you got to contact your representatives. You know,
Yes,
there's nothing
we're going
that's
to
going
talk
to change
about that too, guys.
Yeah. So we'll actually maybe have a show on that whole thing. So
Yeah, we gave you a couple of good ideas what we're going to toss out there, huh?
yeah. We already told you guys in the show probably what we're going to be talking about in the future. It's hope you guys caught it. So if you guys do, shoot us out. You know, our social media and everything is all over the place. We're going to leave all the links and
Share it
yes, share the crap out
if
of
you
this.
would. If you like
please.
it, if you get anything out of it, share it. If you don't share it.
Yeah.
You know, I got to tell you, share shit. If you think it's shit, don't share it.
Yeah.
If you get
like
anything out of it.
Yeah. If you guys like it, follow, subscribe, all the above, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, thank you.
Oh,
If not, you know, whatever.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Help us out, grow the show to be able to talk, to get more people and just education. And maybe we'll get, you know, because we got interviews. We're going to have them lined up later on in the show once we get better at it and stuff like that. So we're going to have different businesses, different things, and just expand, you know, in New Mexico, man. Just keep it very simple, right?
Yeah.
So
and one thing I'm going to try to do is wear a New Mexico business shirt every show. I've been to so many cannabis events in the state that I have a lot of these. So every show I'll try to wear one. This week is Elevated. So I appreciate you guys for the shirt a few years ago. I think they're still in business, right?
I don't know. I'm about to say, don't ask me to, I'm just going to represent. Yeah, we'll see. I'll have to Matt Tanner up, see if I get me a Stone Date Cannabis Company shirt there from him.
Mine's dirty, or else I would have worn it.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'll holler at him. I'll buy me a shirt there. Yeah. So no, all good things, guys. I know it's the holidays. Be nice to everybody. You never know what anybody's going through in the holidays. You know, the holidays are supposed to be happy for everybody. Sometimes it's not happy for everybody. Remember that too. And if you're not in the happy group, work on trying to get happy. You know what I mean? And I know it sucks, but you know what I mean? You have to do it for you know, I mean, it'll be better for everything all the way around. And so I like to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I think we're going to post another one for the new year, obviously, right?
Yeah, we're going to be here next week, right before the new year. And then the next show after that will be 2022. So we'll you guys again
running right in there, boys and girls. Good stuff, man. Mad love to everybody out there in the community. Thank you for watching. And like I said, everybody just have a wonderful week and grind it out and sharpen your pencils for your budgeting. And so you can have a great business plan and know if you're underfunded or not. And, you know, make sure it's easier to build less, keep growing, have that production going.
Exactly. All right, everybody, have a good night. Remember, everything New Mexico, everything cannabis, New Mexico CannaCast.
Woohoo!
All right, guys, see ya.
Mad love, everybody.